Well, if there was one thing we were sure about when this college football season began, Bob, was that the one thing University of Washington was going to have was great quarterback play. After all, Keith Price the year before, 33 touchdowns, 11 picks, actually outplayed Robert Griffin III in that Baylor infamous game. So it was a 67-55 in the Alamo Bowl or whatnot.
Yeah, a lot of offense, no defense.
He was terrific in that game, was a top 10 Heisman candidate coming in, and well, to say it's been disappointing, and there are a lot of other reasons for it, is an understatement. It was to the point where this week, as we were talking about on the show today, and you can listen to the podcast, that Steve Sarkisian felt compelled to say this week that A, he's still my quarterback, which is pretty amazing in itself, and that B, he just needs to trust me more.
Yeah, and the comments he went on to say, I would never put him in a position where he's not able to succeed. He's just got to believe that I, have his best interests at heart, essentially, to paraphrase, and that he's going to put him in the proper spots, and he knows how to coach that position. It's kind of odd, you wonder if he's kind of questioning the play calling or questioning how things are going, because he's a guy that's taken a bit of a beating. The offensive line has been a huge concern. So not everything that's happened has been his fault, but to hear that maybe there was something he needed to reestablish as a head coach to be, hey, don't worry about it. I've got your back here. I'm going to put you in the best position. Little weird to hear those comments, but ultimately I think the most surprising thing is just we got so used to seeing last year's version of Keith Price, and I'm not even talking about the success, just talking about his demeanor.
Happy guy.
Even when things went wrong, when he threw an interception or he got sacked or something wasn't right, he earned the nickname Teeth Price. He was always smiling, and not that many people would smile through some of the adversity he's had this year, but it's just something you notice because it was so prevalent last year. This year feels different, feels heavy.
Yeah.
Feels like this is a big disappointment. And for Husky fans it is, and for him, I'm sure he's taking the brunt of it.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. My guess in just thinking about it more is probably what's happening is Keith Price, because he is a veteran, has been around for a few years, probably audibling out of a lot of the plays that Steve Sarkisian would be calling because he sees something and does not want, I'm not saying he's afraid or anything like that, but thinks he's going to get hit. And, one of the things about Sarkisian that I think almost anyone would concede is his great talent is play calling. I mean, he did it for SC for those years. Pete Carroll loved him for it. That was getting him hired by Al Davis and the Raiders, and he is one of the few head coaches who calls that's number one with him is play calling. And look, we saw what he did with Keith Price in that offense last year. Jake Lockers last year propelled him to the top 10. What he did with, Matt Leinart, who really isn't much of a quarterback and had the great career that he had, and so it really is. It was interesting to hear that, and it is the sort of thing that a few wins can solve. But you begin to wonder how you're going to get those wins. All of a sudden, this easy second half of the schedule thing is complicated a little bit. You have the number 7 team in the country coming in this week who you're supposed to get well against.
Well, maybe the wins don't start right away. Maybe it's after this week.
Should just playing a little better?
Play a little better, yeah. Look a little more sure, a little more certain.
And smile.
Come on, Teeth.